And if you like share the live stream and tag me, I can. I'll add it. I
Right
have
on.
to
We're
add it to
live.
my. Okay.
Boom. I don't do the intros. So, welcome to Rolling to Win Live with Zach Mecham. Is it Mecham? Is that right?
It's Mecham,
Mecham.
but
Okay, cool.
close. Yeah.
Right on. And you're out there in the Midwest somewheres. Where are you at?
Yeah. Des Moines, Iowa is the area I'm from, so not a
Nice.
hot spot for comedy, really.
Right. I didn't think Iowa even had comedy, but I guess they got you and your troop, right? So you're pretty big on that. Why don't you tell me a little about how you got into that?
Well, it started. I was a theater major in college, and
Mhm.
I was doing improv, and some of the people that were on the improv team that I was on said, hey, you're funny. You should be doing stand up. So I just went to an open mic and
Mhm.
tried some material and it worked. People liked it. So I decided, all right, if I've got a knack for this, why not do it? It's a lot of fun.
Nice. Yeah, I thought about doing stand up comedy, but it's kind of hard from the paraplegic standpoint.
What makes you say that?
But don't, because I don't stand, it'd have to be sit down comedy.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's goofy, but I try. I have fun with it, right?
yeah, yeah.
Nice. So, how long have you been at the whole comedy thing and all that now?
Uh, Cumulatively about 2 years. So
Okay.
I started when I was 19 in college, did it for
Hmm.
about 6 months, and then quit for like 10 years. And then
Oh, gotcha.
I just started back up again about a year and a half ago.
Right. Just a little sabbatical. Just take a little
Yeah,
vacation.
yeah. Um,
Right on. So, let's see. I'm not really familiar with Iowa. All the how's it calmed down now that all the election stuff's over and all that? Was that a big hoodoo out there? I know the
oh
rest of us
yeah.
were like,
Oh,
"Oh yeah,
we're
uh,
a purple state, so it's divisive. People
mm-hmm.
on either side. Um, Somebody was going to be outraged in this area. It's been interesting.
Yeah, I got you." There's too much outrage going on. I think that people, if they would calm down, they'd realize that we actually have more in common with one another than we have differences. I mean, we pretty much all want the same thing. I think, just sort of
Yeah,
a happy home life and family and all that. And I think that's kind of it. So
yeah,
you can't do live shows in the evening, huh? So you got a bunch of kids running around. How's that?
yeah. So I live with a couple of my nieces and
Mhm.
my brother and sister-in-law. So yeah, it's pretty. They're napping right now, which is why 1 o'clock was about perfect. But
Oh,
yeah,
right on.
it's never a dull moment. Always an adventure. A lot of times there's something to get material from. Yeah.
Hmm. Nice, nice. So how's the dating life for you out there? Picking up any
Oh,
of the wild women at the comedy shows?
yeah. That's something that you would do at your own risk. Um, I do have kind of a story of just to give you an idea of the kind of people you meet at comedy shows. I came off of a stage one time and I always try to like meet people and greet them because that's how you build a fan base. You
Mhm,
give back a little bit and make sure that you're building relationships with people that like your stuff. So I was doing that.
mhm.
Guy came up to me and was like, "Hey, I found you on Instagram. You're really funny. Uh, what are you What are you doing after this? I've got some cocaine. Do you want some cocaine?"
Right.
Um, I was like, "No, no, no. I don't think I'm gonna do cocaine. Plus, I got a 3 hour drive home. But thanks." And he's like, "Are you sure? I want you to meet my wife. I'll, I'll let her. I'll let her show you her tits. You want to see her tits?" And he was hammered, and his wife was so embarrassed and like apologizing for him. She's like, he never goes out. I promise he's not normally like this. He's a big fan of yours.
Right. So you're a big star, man. Men are trying to share their wives with you. That's crazy.
They're wives and their drugs. So
Right.
yeah,
Dang. Yeah, you must be pretty
never
damn
thought I'd be
popular
that
out
guy.
there. Right. So you do a little tour around, right? So how was this last tour of yours? You were, I guess, on the road for all of November, weren't you? Practically.
Um, um, there's like debate in the comedy world of when you can call it a tour and when you can't.
Mm,
I do I do travel around the Midwest. I kind of do that always. So like if there's a show in Kansas City and they want me on it, I'll be there. As long
mm,
as I can cover my gas money is kind of my rule. I need to make enough money to justify the trip. But
right.
yeah, so I've been in Omaha a lot lately because there are a couple of good comedy clubs down there that like me. And I've made a lot of friends in that scene, so I've been spending a lot of time driving back and forth to Omaha. So that's like a two
Gotcha.
hour drive for me.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Now, so how do you drive? Like, and what is your adaptive ability in your vehicle?
Yeah, so I drive with a joystick, just like how I drive my wheelchair. So it's
Okay.
just one
Cool.
joystick. You push it forward, that's gas. Pull it backwards, that's brake. Left, right.
Mm,
The wheel it actually turns the wheel. So when I pull the
okay.
joystick left, you can watch the wheel spin. And
Oh, that's far out. So how was that getting
yeah,
used to?
it was wild at first, right? Like they make you practice for 3 or 4 days in an empty parking lot before they ever let you go out on the road. And
Mm-hmm.
it necessarily, because you think about it, you can push a joystick forward, millimeters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not a lot of play,
Right.
which means that few millimeters that you push that joystick forward is like from zero to full acceleration.
Oh, geez.
Or like pulling the joystick all the way back. That's like slamming on your brakes. So
Okay.
you have to get used to that feel before you can get out on the
Right.
road. And I did hit a couple things a couple times in my lessons before I got a feel for it. So
Right. Got to give the fair warning before you go on road trips. Hey, I will be on the road. Beware.
yeah. I like to think I'm a
Nice.
pretty good driver now, but it took practice.
Right. Right. I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. So, my own little driving story. Um, I didn't know, like, just people told me, like, you could get with, what is it, like those vocational rehab places or
Voc
something
rehab.
like that.
Yep.
And they'll help you with controls and driving and all that. So I just watched a video on YouTube with somebody had those quickie controls, whatever.
Yeah.
Like you just put on the gas and the brake. I ordered a pair of them, slapped them in the car, and started driving around. It's like, all
Nice.
right, here we go. Um, Nobody ever questioned like if I was certified or anything for driving with
Yeah.
hand controls. It's pretty far out. I moved to Virginia, and they just put it on the back of my license. I have to drive with controls. And then I learned like went to like a physiotherapist or whatever they're called, and he was trying to get me to. He's like, "Have you ever gotten hand controls?" It's like, "Yeah, I got some temporary ones on the car," and it's like, man, they tried to set me up with this cat to go and do like I guess all the driving tests or whatever. It's
Uh-huh.
like $500. I was like, I'm not paying $500. I'm just going to handle the hand
Yeah.
controls how they are. Not worth it. But yeah, so I've been on the road hot since I guess 2020, right there about 2 years
Uh,
after my thing. Amazingly enough,
uh,
that's I started driving. And that's when the lady I was married to decided she didn't want to be married anymore. She said, "You're independent enough." And I was like, "Well, free as a bird. Here we go."
well, now you can just start cruising for the ladies.
That's right. That's right. Yep. And
I'm in
and
a
that was in the
minivan, so
yeah. I've
I
got a minivan now. Those things are hot.
yeah, man, you cruise right by the soccer field, man, and if it's a nice enough minivan, you can get those single moms.
That's
That's
right. That's right. It's a single mom trap, right?
that's right. Yeah.
Oh, you like soccer? I like soccer too. Nice. So look, I'm not even familiar with what's going on with you. So what's going on with you, man? What is your actual disability here?
Oh, that's a great
Not
question.
yeah. Not
Yeah.
that you're really
So
disabled, but I mean you are disabled. Let's be real.
yeah. That's the title that I use is disabled, and we can
Right
talk
on.
about why and whatnot. That's fine. But yeah, no, I have muscular dystrophy. So
Mhm.
for me particularly, that means that there's a protein imbalance that causes
Mhm.
my muscles to deteriorate. So they're progressive. So
Mhm.
when I was younger, I could walk, and then the muscle slowly deteriorated. And
Oh wow, that's
yeah,
crazy. How old are you now?
I am 30.
30. Okay. And when was your diagnosis initially?
I was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was
Mhm.
like a baby, but the
Okay.
specific type that I had, they didn't. It was so rare, and they knew so little about it that they didn't
Mhm.
have a diagnosis for me until I was 9 of the
Mm.
specific kind that I have.
Gotcha. Wow. And I mean, was it then that they decided a new course of treatment? Had they been doing the right thing by you up to that point?
There's not really a treatment for my muscular dystrophy.
Hmm.
The all the like medical interactions are geared towards accommodations. So it's
Hmm.
like there's no medicine I can take or exercise that I can do that'll make it to where I can gain muscle. So
Hmm.
instead, it looks like, okay, you're not going to be able to walk again. That's just a thing. So instead, we're going to fit you with a wheelchair. And
Hmm.
that's what treatment looks like.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. So, and do you have a full time caregiver? What does that look like exactly?
Yeah, so that's actually, I'm kind of transitioning right now. For the most part, I've always had live-in caregivers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's mostly been family, but for a while it was friends as well. It's changed over the
Hmm.
years. Um, but right now I've switched to agency care, and I've been able to arrange it so I can get all of my care that I need without having to rely on unpaid family.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
here in the next few weeks, I'll be living on my own, and caregivers will come in at night to help me, and then more caregivers will come at specific points in the day to help me use the restroom and get
Hmm.
food. And um, for the most part, I'll be on my own, which is pretty
That's
cool.
pretty sweet. So you're going to
Mhm.
be out on your own for the. Is this your first time out on your own?
This will be my first time living by myself. It took the better part of a decade
Wow.
to make it happen, but it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. So how are you feeling about that?
Excited. It's
Mhm.
proving to be a lot of work. Um, there's a lot of management involved with
Mhm.
that. You're basically like a mid-level manager at a Starbucks, but it's your personal care, right? It's like you gotta hire people. Sometimes you have to fire people and
Right.
coordinate schedules and deal with different personalities. It's uh, it's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Right on, man. Right on. That's awesome. That's awesome. I remember. Well, after getting divorced, I was kind of at a spot of homelessness. Well,
Mm,
houselessness more than
yeah.
anything. My son let me stay with him for a little bit till I bought this little house. But
Mm,
when I got here, uh, I realized that I had to take care of everything myself.
yeah.
And that was kind of um, not really culture shock because I knew it had to happen, and I was kind of going through like that whole depression thing, so I was getting a little better. And I was like, dude, if I don't clean up this damn place, ain't nobody gonna do it. So I got through my
Right.
depression, got to where I cleaned it up, and hell, pretty proud of it. My little bitty cottage down here in lovely Fieldale, Virginia, nestled right in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains.
That sounds beautiful. And I can relate to that sense of pride just personally. It's
Hmm.
like the other day, part of like living by myself means that I'm gonna have to prepare my own meals. So we've been working
Hmm.
on that. And like I never cooked before.
Wow.
And like a week ago, I'm like a little less than a week ago, I made my first like meal for
Hmm.
myself. And like I've never had a grilled cheese taste any better than when I made it myself. You know,
That's awesome.
there was a sense of pride there.
Yeah, right on. That is awesome. That is awesome. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah, I saw your post. It's you like that fat bread, don't you?
I do. Yeah, it was like eating a grilled cheese made from Texas toast. It was pretty
Nice.
good.
Yeah,
Pretty
heck
good.
yeah. So, what are your big culinary plans in the future?
I want to cook all kinds of things. You know, a lot of it is like understanding, like working on making sure I can use the utensils, and then
Hmm.
different like types of foods, right? Like the
Hmm.
great thing about grilled cheese, all you really have to do is once you prepare it and put it together, is flip it. So next it's
Yeah.
gonna be like, okay, what about like a stew or chili? Like, you know,
Right.
using a ladle and stirring
Hmm.
and trying to move a pot, like, because like a pot with boiling water, like I know I'm not gonna be able to lift that
Mm. Right.
without some
Right.
sort of assistive device,
Yeah.
and it would be dangerous to just like, you know, try to find out, right? Like
Sure.
you wanna be about it, go about it carefully. So
Oh yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the fears there of anybody. I tell you, who's figured a lot of stuff out is a lot of these guys with that are tetraplegic, quadriplegic, because
uh-huh.
their hands are all messed up. Like, there's a couple
Yeah.
dudes out there that 3D print a lot of cool stuff that might be useful.
Hmm.
Have you checked all that out?
Oh, I've gotten into I'm one of my hobbies is like digital 3D printing. So like designing my own stuff in CAD. Um,
Mm, yeah,
it's a
that's far out.
brand new hobby that I'm like getting into. But I've already like made a couple of successful prints that make my
Nice.
life a little easier. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah. Like, what sort of stuff have you printed out?
So one thing, right? Like I'm a video creator, um,
Hmm.
and I have like a gimbal and some other devices that have the like spring clamps for your cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
I hate those spring clamps. They drive me insane.
Right.
They're hard for me to open and get my phone into. So
Yeah, not just you, but everybody.
yeah, so a really simple thing that I put together is just like it's a MagSafe adapter that you can put in
Hmm.
the spring clamp and just leave it in there, and then your phone can just magnet right into it.
Oh,
Um,
nice. You
so
can
very
market that.
simple design. Um, yeah, I probably could. It seems it seems so like it's so simple, right? It's literally just like a flat, wide piece that's a little
Hmm.
wider than your phone with a magnet in the middle of it. Um,
Right.
so it feels odd to like sell that, but yeah, I probably could.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if it's something that's helpful and beneficial, and you could probably
Yeah,
streamline it into like version 2.0 and all that stuff too.
yeah.
Rock on. So you're into all kind of cool stuff, man. So you went to theater school or whatever. Where'd you go to school? And
Drake.
I'm just like I'm just now getting into acting and stuff. So that's fascinating to me. Like, I talked to a couple of people from the New York Film Academy, and it was just interesting to see the perspectives. I mean, a lot of young people, but yeah. So tell me a little about that if you don't mind.
Yeah, Drake University. I was a proud bulldog. Um,
Mm,
their theater program was really good. Um,
mm-hmm,
very like very like conservatory inspired. You know, is
mm-hmm,
lots of uh, lots of practical application kind of stuff. Lots of really focused study and doing scenes. I really enjoyed it. Lots of fun. Um,
nice.
and you know, I when I graduated college, I kind of came to the realization that like I'm not going to Hollywood to be an actor. Not right now. It's just
Mm-hmm,
not practical. Um, So I decided, okay, well, fine. I've got a camera. I have skills. I can I can make my own videos, and so I've been doing that.
Mhm. Nice. So, what was your main study there?
Uh, Theater education. So I was going to teach theater.
Okay, nice, nice. The whole Hamlet and all that stuff, huh? That's what
Oh
I
yeah.
think when I think
Oh,
theater is that. Yeah.
uh-huh. I have a few Shakespeare monologues that are just burned into my psyche from
Mm,
college.
damn it! I did one. What the hell was which one was it? Uh, golly, I can't even remember it now. But I did one, and I've in the little acting class or whatever. I say little acting class, but any class that you take, I guess, is knowledge that you're learning that you didn't have.
Yeah.
But I still do an acting class. It's fun. We get together every week, and I guess you kind of got to stay sharp or what have you. So as I'm trying to get into everything, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Do you have any like long-term aspirations or just
Um,
having fun?
yeah, I kind of just like, pardon me, kind of having fun, but at the same time, I would really like to see individuals with disabilities in feature films and TV shows,
Mm-hmm.
so that it's not such an oddity when you see somebody out in public that's rolling around in a wheelchair, that you're
Yeah.
used to it, you've been exposed to it. I think that would actually help some of the wheelchair community want to go out again, right? Because you have a lot of people that are shut-ins because every time I go places, people are looking at me or what have you, So that keeps a lot of people
Yeah.
locked up,
It,
prisoners in their own lives.
well, and it'll also, encourage the community to be more accessible and
Mm-hmm.
inclusive,
Right,
like
right.
um if people with disabilities are seen in society and out in the community and seen on TV, then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden a ramp doesn't feel unnecessary in your business.
Right.
Um, One thing that drives me insane is I do a lot of comedy around, and
Mm-hmm.
most of the venues are wheelchair accessible because that's the
Mm-hmm.
law, but the
Right.
stages aren't.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like,
We
oh,
used to
okay,
encounter
so
that.
yeah, we see disabled people as spectators, but we
Mm-hmm.
never expected a stand up in a wheelchair. We
Right.
didn't plan for that, right? And
Yeah.
if,
Yeah, that's it right there. I got into wheelchair bodybuilding, I guess, after they had made their entry. So when we go to competitions, we have a way to get to the stage. Um, However, I did a showcase, and they had to put a ramp out just for me. Like they wouldn't have put a ramp out if it wasn't anybody, in a wheelchair or what have you. But they did.
yeah,
They fixed it up so that I could get up there. Although I couldn't do the runway exactly like everybody else, I had to go off the same way I came. Instead, most people would come on one way and then go off another way.
mhm.
So that was
See,
pretty wild.
and I've at a lot of venues that have been cool and done stuff like that, but
Hmm.
it's always an afterthought, right?
Right.
It's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, we'll build a ramp for you, and it's like, okay, thanks, but what about the next performer?
Yeah.
Um, I actually sometimes have to bring my own ramp. Like I have a ramp
Mm-hmm.
that's portable and I can haul in my van, and
Right.
sometimes I have to bring it to get on stage.
Uh, that should only happen once. I feel like, like they should only do that one. Like, oh, you brought your own ramp. That's cool. So now we know we have to have an access here.
Hmm.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's kind of my thought as well.
Well, maybe because the economy is going to be booming during this next administration, so maybe they'll have enough money to do it. Or so I hear. Right? I'm not a political person. I do watch the chaos though. I'm half addicted to the chaos. I've got to see how one side hates the other side, and the other side hates the other side, and I guess you have a million people who can't be on any other kind of team, so they're on these teams, and in that it's kind of sad. Man, I
It
tell you,
almost feels like an entertainment event, doesn't it? Like a
yeah,
sport,
it does. It
like a
does.
boxing match.
Right, right. Have you seen where all these people are like disavowing family because of the way they voted?
I've heard of that. Yeah, yeah. Um,
That's crazy. I
yeah,
can't believe that.
yeah. I blame our climate, man, as we've created. It really is. Like if you look at the promoting, how they
Mm,
promote a boxing match, right?
yeah,
It's like we run our politics like promoting a boxing match. Like,
yeah,
tell me how Tyson and Jake Paul promo is different than our political promo. And
right.
then we
No doubt.
wonder why our politics are this way. Yeah,
Mm,
it's
mm, yeah, yeah. That's wild. Didn't you mention that? Do you think that was rigged?
I think it was theater. Yeah. Um I think Jake Paul would have been a terrible person to go like full tilt
Mm,
on a
mhm,
60-some-year-old man. Um,
right.
and so I think she didn't, and who
Mm.
could blame him? And let's be real, we all wanted to see Mike Tyson, like somehow at 60 years old,
Yeah.
just knock Jake Paul out.
Right.
But
Right.
like,
I even put money down on Tyson.
yeah, we all wanted to see that, but that's not how aging works, unfortunately.
Right. Tell me about it. Now I'm at the age where sleeping is a dangerous sport. I wake up and I'm hurt. Got to call in because I can't make it today. Hey, look, I threw my shoulder out. How'd you do that? Well, I slept wrong.
I know.
I slept on my side last night. Yeah.
I know. I
I,
keep thinking about all the all the stuff that I'm doing for comedy and
mhm.
traveling. I'm so busy, and I quit comedy forever. And I keep thinking like, man, this would have been a lot easier when I was 19.
Right. Right. No doubt. Yeah, no shit. Check this. Um, I went down like it's a 6 hour drive. Like when you look it up on maps to get from here to Atlanta. So I
Mm,
booked this thing in Atlanta that basically it just paid out like what it would cost to drive down there, eat out,
mhm.
hang out, and come back, which is cool. Like I'm like you, I'm cool with that. Like I can rock around like that for a little bit, like and in hopes that man that we're really going to take off. And I'd like to be a villain, I think, in a TV show, like a mafia
Yeah,
bad guy, or I'd like to be on a comedy. Either one. Like I
yeah,
think I'd be a good villain or a good like comedy actor. But yeah, that took off down there. Have to stop so many times. It's like so we're 8 or 9 hours really instead of 6 hours because I got to stop and rest every little bit, and
hmm
then come back home, and then went to Wilmington. And thought, what the hell did I do with my 20s? That I thought to myself, yeah, I literally threw away my 20s because I was just partying. Like I was in a
yeah,
band, like just running the roads. I did cable work, so I was kind of up and down the coast. I
mhm.
don't know. Had kids and a wife at home. No wonder I got divorced. She hated that. What do you mean you're not coming home this week? Well, not coming
Yeah,
home this week. I'm gonna stay out here. Kind of
yeah,
shit. But yeah, that was number one. Then the second one I stuck around for, but then we were gonna be together through thick or thin. Things got thick. She thinned out. I,
mhm.
I fell off a roof, so that kind of put an end to that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I was real bitchy too. I wasn't really happy. I was kind of miserable about falling off a roof and losing
yeah.
the use of my legs and all. So, probably shouldn't have been such a needy little whiny bitch and all for that.
I think like learning to adapt to that new normal, right? Like I think
Mm,
it's valid for
mm.
that to be hard.
Oh,
Like
sure,
I've
sure.
I've had the I had the benefit, right? Like I would, like the great Lady Gaga, I was born this way, right?
Mm, mm,
So I've always kind of like I had a long time throughout my childhood to like understand that this is
mm,
my life. Whereas like, if you fall off a roof one day
mm.
and your life is turned upside down, it is a process to bounce back.
Oh,
And
sure, sure.
but it's great to see people bounce back, and it's you would hope that we can live in a society and create
Hmm.
a society where it's easier to bounce back after
Oh
something
yeah.
like that. And also, mindset is huge, right?
Oh
Like
yeah, for sure, for
learning
sure.
how to
Hmm.
learning that your life isn't over, even if
Right.
you have to navigate the world differently, it's
Hmm.
huge.
Yeah. That's where I'm a real proponent nowadays is exactly that. Like that life ain't over. Like in fact, your new life is just beginning. Right. That's
Yeah.
exactly how I feel about it now. Um, but when it first happened, I was, I pushed everybody away. I was just hateful, just real
Mm.
hateful. Um, kind of thinking, why me? But looking back, like I probably just should have been wearing safety equipment. Like maybe a safety harness could have protected that fall, or there was a lot of decisions I could have made on my part that would have changed the course of events. So, um, got me to thinking about personal responsibility, and then really like that nobody's coming to my rescue,
Hmm.
right?
The
And
cavalry isn't coming. Quit
right,
waiting.
right. Yeah, there's no magic hand going to swoop down and pick you up and make things all better. The
Yeah.
only thing that will is a little bit of hard work. Kind of got me thinking about this, like this Hindu way of looking at things, right? Which is really wild. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but it's like a child that's born into like troubles in their society is taught that this is because of like a past bad karma buildup. So you were born into this
Mm.
because of your past life. And it
Yeah.
automatically takes away that victim mindset. Like I'm like this because of this. I think it
Mm.
automatically kind of takes away that mindset because now it becomes this sort of game of living the best life you can with what you have, trying to
Right. Right.
build the karma points like in a video game almost. I guess that's how I see it. You ever play that
Yeah.
damn Red Dead Redemption or any of that stuff where you're like
Oh
you
yeah.
do
Red
bad
Dead
stuff,
Redemption
you
2
get
is my
bad
jam.
karma.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
yeah.
And yeah, I think like my mindset is kind of along those lines, which is like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, no matter what happened to you, whether it's your fault or someone else's fault or no one's fault, is irrelevant, right?
Right.
Like it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you are given the set of circumstances you have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's your job to make the most of that. Um, and that comes from my religious background of like, you know, be, uh, being a Christian of like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you are you are responsible for what you've been given, regardless of what that is.
Right. Right. So, did you inherit Christianity? Were you born into it, or
I
is that
I was
something you
not.
found later in life?
Yeah, I found that later. Yeah, when I was a
Mm,
teenager.
okay. So how did you find yourself there at that point?
That is a good question. Um, Friends were, there was a youth group in town, and I kind of came into it that way. And
Hmm.
um, you know, the way that kind of my life changed, you know, um, I attribute it to that. So yeah.
Hmm. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm Christian too, and like probably stronger Christian than I ever was before. Like especially taking on that yoke of personal responsibility.
Mhm.
Um, as James said, that faith without works is dead. So there's that, right?
Yeah.
That you're not just going to be blessed. I think Paul's gospel is a little more magical than that. I think
Mm.
James sort of preaches that, dude, you got to get off your tail and make something happen. You are God.
Mhm.
Like the Holy Spirit's living in you. And
Mhm.
how do you think that's going to get out unless you let it out?
Yeah. Yeah. There is a. It's definitely not a passive gospel. That's for sure. Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
Right. Yeah.
100%.
So yeah, and that's kind of where I came in now. So yeah, I try to tell people all that, but I guess there's a lot of people that are waiting for the magical cure to things.
Yeah.
Waiting for and a lot of I guess God hating people. Because a lot of people who are mad at God are mad because God didn't change something in their life when they had the opportunity to really maybe even take responsibility, step up, and change it for themselves.
Yeah.
And that
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. And I always like, want to encourage those people of like, those feelings are valid.
Hmm.
I never want to tell people that they can't be sad or mad about something, but it's really at the end of the day, well, those feelings are one thing, but how you choose to respond are another, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And for me, that's really what it comes down to is like, I can be mad, yeah, but like, what are you going to do about the situation that makes you mad? Because, like, you can use those things
Hmm.
as well. Like, anger is a valid emotion. Um, if you listen closely to my comedy, you can tell that a lot of it is me using my anger.
Hmm.
It's,
Dude, I watched all your reels that you had on your website, which was crazy. Pretty awesome stuff.
thank you.
Yeah, awesome stuff. That's why I figured I had to talk to you. I was like, dude, I gotta talk to this guy. You know,
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Yeah.
Absolutely. You're funny as hell, man. I would
Thank
ask you to do your bit, but that'd be fucking asking too much. Pardon my language. I'm not
you.
going to get you to go there. Yeah, we'll have to get out to your shows and see you do that. Um,
Yeah, and also like there's kind of a environment where comedy works, and
yeah, right.
if I just like tell my jokes in a quiet room to like an
Yeah.
audience that you can't hear laughing,
Mhm.
it'll sound like my jokes aren't working. So
Right, I got you. I dig it. I dig it. Yeah. Um, so when are you playing again? When are you on? After I figured after the holidays, I didn't see anything.
yeah, well, and I'm waiting. I just got news that I'm gonna be on a very big, very cool show that I've been like wanting to be a part of. And so I'm
Sweet.
waiting for that to
Hmm.
become public before I post my dates. Um,
Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
so I'm hoping that'll happen soon because I want to post those dates. My next
Hmm.
show is the 30th, so that would be
Mm-hmm.
next Saturday.
Okay.
Um, something like that. Next Friday or Saturday, I have a
Hmm.
show in Omaha. Um, and then I have a show the 6th, so the following week I'll be on the other side of Iowa instead of in Omaha
Sweet.
to do a show at a brewery that I'm hosting that show. And I'll probably do 15, 20 minutes there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm booking that show, so that's like all the comics in the area that I like to
Hmm.
work with. I get to
Okay,
put them on my shows, which is
that's sweet.
fun. Um,
That's sweet.
yeah, and then the 19th of December, I have the Clash of the Clash, which
Hmm.
is a competition in Omaha because I won the Clash of Comics. But what happens is that happens, they do it like 6 to 8 times a year, the Clash of the
Okay,
Comics. And then in December, they do the Clash of the Clash, where all the year's winners
like
compete
the
against each
championship.
other. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing on
Nice.
the 19th. And then
Okay.
and then I'll have that big show, which is coming up, and that'll be in January. But
Nice.
I haven't heard that it's public yet, so I don't want to.
Okay. Right. Right. I dig that, man. Well, congratulations on all your
Thanks.
hard work, man. Like, so how long did it take you to get to where you are and traveling around in comedy and stuff? Like,
I've been at it about, like I said, a year and a half since
okay. Well, I
starting
meant
up
like
again.
to be booking like good, solid.
Yeah,
I'm working every weekend. Yeah.
yeah. So I would say that. it took me about a year in, I would say. So
Okay.
about 6 months ago is like, yeah, this summer
When it
is
started
when it was
taking off.
really kind of like people were reaching out to me instead of the
Okay.
other way around. So
Nice. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. That rocks right there. But so persistence
yeah,
and consistency, 100%.
well, and a lot like bodybuilding, right? Is like
Mm-hmm.
you could have all the natural talent in the world, right? A
Mm-hmm.
bodybuilder, you could be a natural athlete,
Mm-hmm.
but like you can probably attest if you're not in the gym regularly, you're
Right.
never gonna like be able to compete.
Right.
It's the same with comedy.
Yeah.
You really have to work at it. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be in front of audiences at open mics often,
Mm-hmm.
frequently, and repetition. And until you get to that level,
Mm-hmm.
um, you're not going to get booked. Like it's like you've got to put in upfront work that no one sees before
Right.
you get to the point where people are seeing you.
Right. Right. So you had to get the reps in, all the
Yeah.
reps to build the
hmm
muscle. The comedy muscle needs many reps.
hmm
I
Um,
love it. I love it. That's just like I compare everything to that. Like acting's the same way. I had to put in countless auditions before I got one booking, and then I got like two bookings back to back in a row, and was like, "What?" I mean, and just really hoping that that's how it takes off. But if I had given up, because I guess I've been at it about a year and a half too. If I'd given up 6 months in, then I wouldn't be here. If I'd given up at just under a year, I wouldn't be here. Like, and here ain't even that big, but at least it's huge progress to me. Like it's
yeah.
100% further than I was when I was only 6 months in. And I feel like that if anybody is really working towards something, they put those reps in, then they're going to get to where they need to go. I love that. I love that. But man, you have a lot of people who are stubborn about it, though. They don't. They're like, well, I did this, and I'm just going to give up. Let me try something new or whatever. That's sad. Sad to me.
Me too. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier. Like the cavalry's not coming, right?
Right.
Like I think that's the thing that I realized is like as talented as I would love to think I am,
Hmm.
right? Nobody's gonna swoop down and recognize my talent and give me
Right.
all the opportunities so I can have
Hmm.
all the money and women, right? Like that's not how life works. Um,
Right. Right.
the
You can be
reality
the
is,
brightest light in a single room, or you could let your light shine outside the room, but you got to move out of the room.
yeah, and you've gotta realize that, yeah, that nobody's coming to you. Nobody's nobody's gonna help you unless you can help them in the entertainment world, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
Like like sometimes that sucks, but that's the reality, right? It's
Right.
like we would love to live in a more benevolent world, but
Hmm.
for the most part, people in the entertainment industry, they're not gonna back you unless you can prove to them that you're worth backing.
Right. Right. And that takes all the reps to get the muscle strong.
Exactly.
Love it, man. Love it. So I like your whole vibe, dude. Like we're gonna have to stay in touch after this thing here.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
want to now. Do you record your shows? Is that is that something that we could see online? Those of us who can't get out there to Omaha or Iowa or the Midwest.
I've been thinking about recording like a longer show.
Hmm.
Um, right now it's just the clips, but
Hmm.
I'm debating. I've got enough material. Um, I could do an hour, and I could like release that hour. Um, and I've thought about it, but I
Hmm.
also like I want to make sure it's right. Like I want to put out something that I can be proud of and share and
Hmm.
push out. So um, I just haven't done it yet, and I don't take the decision lightly, but I am considering it.
Right on. Right on. Yeah. So I hope to be seeing some of that real soon. Real soon, for
Yeah.
sure. Right on, Zach. Well, I appreciate you talking with me, and appreciate all the
Yeah.
viewers out there today. Um, is anybody watching on YouTube and have any questions? Like, we have a minute or two that we can do that before we pop off. Any questions? No, no, I don't see anything. One of these days, we'll get some live viewers that aren't timid.
It, it's like you know, the just like the cavalry's not coming, the
Right.
fans are often not coming until you can yell out to them. That's
Yeah, that's
it's a
right.
lot of screaming into the void until some people start to notice.
That's right. That's right. Anyway, we're not giving up. We're going to still go live. We're trying to
Okay.
go live 3 times a week here.
Wow.
I only made it one time this week because I was just exhausted from the road, man. Like, I put
It's a
on
lot of work.
2,000 miles in the past week just driving around. So, boom. Who's your favorite comic in South Carolina? Brett.
Who's my man? That is tough. I'll tell you a couple comics that I love right now. That's the closest I can get. If you follow um, Chris Higgins on Instagram, it's my bud Chris.
Mm,
He's hilarious. He's one of my favorites. Taylor Tomlinson, big Taylor Tomlinson fan, and then Josh Johnson. Um, Josh Johnson has a huge YouTube following. He posts like 15 minutes of fresh
mm.
comedy every week, which, as a comedian, I can tell you is insane. And all of it's really good. He's very funny.
Nice.
So,
Nice. Thanks, Brett, for your question. I appreciate that. Any other questions out here? Anyone else? If not, I think we're going to wrap it up here. So, yeah, man, I really appreciate you being on and talking with me, dude. It was great. Great
absolutely.
getting to know
Thank you
you.
for having me.
Uh oh. I mean, who is your. Here you go. I mean, who is your favorite former Iowa comic in South Carolina?
Who is your favorite former? Um, oh, is this Brett John? This is Brett John. Okay, this is Brett John. Yeah,
Oh, that's great.
Brett John. You do have that title by default.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right, cool. Cool deal. All right. So somebody you know, huh? That's awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's a good guy. I like Brett.
That's awesome. All right then. Well, man, I guess that here is where we're going to end our stream. Adios, all you
Yeah,
people
thank
out
you very
there.
much.
Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. So, all right,
Yeah.